Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 243 of Super Switch Headz, the premier Nintendo podcast on all of the internet. My name is Summer Rain.
My name is Patrick Nisley.
My name is David Howe, and boy, oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest joining on tonight's episode of the podcast. We have the wonderful Liana Ruppert on the show. How's it going, Liana?
It's going well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm stoked.
Oh,
Yeah.
We're so excited to have you with us, Liana. Liana is here to talk with us today about the state of the industry. We are going to be talking about the layoffs that they keep on coming and they don't stop coming. And that's a lot of what our news today is about as well. Just in the past week, we had picked this topic before we got news as late as today of more extremely major layoffs that are impacting games that lots of us were excited about coming out that aren't even coming out anymore.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into all of that. But before all of that, how are we all doing? How vibe check right here in this room?
I think for the most part, good. Yeah. My brother was in town this weekend, which was really cool. He came in town on Wednesday and just left like an hour ago, which was really cool. And we work at the same animation studio, so that was cool. He got to come in and he actually worked in the office. He lives in LA, so he never gets to actually work in the office, so that was kind of cool. And then also Masters of the Universe Revolution came out, the show we've been working on that came out on Thursday or Friday or Thursday, something like that. I have really enjoying the show. I mean, I worked on it, but like, but I think it's turning out pretty good. I think all of the like super harsh fanboys who hated the first season, like, are all loving this season. I think because there's way more actual He-Man in it, I guess, this time around, which was their complaint the first go round. But hey, you know what? We're glad to have you back on our side, gang. We made the show for you in the first place. But yeah, so that was exciting, and got to do some stuff with some friends from the studio this week. So that was a pretty good time.
Right on.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. There's been a lot of things lately. I'll just try to be brief. I told Summer about this the other day, but our refrigerator died, which is a bummer.
Oh no!
Because I just went to the grocery store and overnight a lot of stuff spoiled, and also fridges aren't cheap. And apparently, I hate the world we live in, where things cost more to replace than to get a new one. So we have to get a new one. And
Are you getting a smart fridge? Are you getting a fridge that can play Skyrim?
No, because I feel like
because that shit is made to break.
But then my kid was a little sick. My wife's a little sick. I was a little sick. As you may recall, and back in December, a little over a month and a half ago, we all had the flu. Well, there's multiple strains of the flu, y'all. My kid has the flu again.
Jesus.
As of last night. And so it's been a little stressful trying to navigate work and my wife's work and my kid having the flu.
But at least the He-Man fans are happy.
But at least,
yeah, Patrick, could you just be happy for me for once? That's all I'm asking.
I'm glad all the man babies are happy.
You heard it here first.
No, he is not wrong. Yeah. Don't worry. We are not popular enough to where that's going to get me in trouble.
Oh, you can cut it if you need to.
I will not be.
Well, anyway, that's it. I honestly, like, my life's fine. but like, bumps on the road.
My fridge is not.
My fridge is not.
Yeah.
Oh.
Get you a fridge that needs a firmware update. Summer, how about you? How was MagFest? We haven't been on since you went to MagFest.
Correct. This is my first time back on since MagFest, and MagFest continues to it's the highlight of my year, and it's difficult because it's at the beginning of the year. So it's like, what am I supposed to do with the rest of the year? So I and I know I had talked about this a little bit before I went, but I did perform with the community orchestra while I was there. I did have a solo in the Galdera song from Octopath Traveler. And it was so cool. So cool. It was so cool to get to hear my voice fill up that giant atrium in the Gaylord National with, the huge orchestra and choir behind me. So I
want to be you when I grow up. That sounds awesome.
Come with me next year. Like, let's all go. I'm so serious. Because MagFest, so for those of you that don't know, MagFest, it stands for Music and Gaming Festival. And it's just a big, giant celebration of mostly VGM video game music and gaming. So it's as much like all these different stages of all these different VGM bands, chiptune artists, all these different kinds of cover artists and jam spaces, jam clinics. But then you also have how many different kinds of arcades. So there is like a console arcade, an import arcade. They've got, and then like a really cool like indie, both alley and like indie, like art, almost like art project cabinets that I just absolutely adore. And so another big highlight for me while I was there, friend of the show, Kyle, KSBOKC, and we dressed up as Beetle and Cass from, Legend of Zelda. And he was like the showstopper, which was amazing. Like he was just like this big, giant attraction. And he kept getting stopped for photos. And so I had my accordion and I would just keep playing the shop theme every single time that he got stopped. And we ended up just stopping for a while. In a well-trafficked area where we just kind of set up shop, him literally, because he like had the whole tray that came down and had all these trinkets, and people kept coming up to him and like were trading him stuff. We still have to go through the bag of all of the crap that he ended up collecting from other people. And then I was just playing my accordion, and then people would come up to me. There was another person who was dressed as Cass with an accordion that came and hung out with me and actually just played with me. We played like through a bunch of different Legend of Zelda songs together on the accordion for like 30 minutes.
Awesome.
So if you're into that, you gotta go. You gotta go.
Yeah, I'll be going next year. Like
absolutely.
Yeah.
Like without a doubt. It's so fulfilling if that's your jam. But then I was sick for a week afterwards, and I had a horrible time getting back because of ice storms that delayed flights and things like that. I don't recommend spending an overnight in the Dallas airport if you can avoid it.
You should have just stayed with my parents.
At least I had someone else's parents like offered for us to stay with them too. It would have been a nightmare getting back into the airport because like I'm not going to go into all of that.
Yeah, that's
what I will say is that if I knew that I had to do all of that suffering again in order to go to MagFest, I would. That's my sale on Mag. So
very good. Very good.
That's me.
Liana, how have you been recently? How was your past week?
I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm having a midlife crisis, and I'm kind of just like not fighting it. I'm just kind of riding the wave.
Yes.
Almost bought an apartment in India because, like, what better way to celebrate being laid off than moving to another country sight unseen?
That's true.
Okay.
So yeah. Anybody that follows me on Twitter has been following that wild ride. I mean, I lived in India when I was a kid, and I loved it, and I've always wanted to go back. And apparently, midlife, some people get red Corvettes and 20-year-old girlfriends. I get a weird small studio apartment in Bangor.
I'm into that. Yeah.
It's great. I will let you guys know how it is when I come out the other side of it.
Yeah. We'll do a special episode from India and get all your updates whenever.
Or jail.
Finally make it over there. Either or. Really.
Happens.
It doesn't matter to us.
Well, last week we did an episode about books about video games. We got lots of great comments on that episode. As always, some quick shout outs to a couple folks in the Discord. Cool Uncle Vince showed off a bunch of his book collection, which was quite impressive, actually. Thanks for that. Lots of comments on the Discord. Always great discussion from Hans, Swampy Southpaw, Steve Irwin, Emma, Ivy, AV, The Huge 27, A Musel. Over on our YouTube channel, Real Tomato said that they usually listen to the podcast version, but popped over to the video to see Buff Kirby that David showed off that he got at a con, and they were not disappointed. Yeah. And
I know the artist you got that from. Yeah.
Legs, thighs that Thor would be jealous of.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go.
Swerskinator said they loved this episode and also recommended the book The Animators by Kayla Ray Whitaker. It's similar to Tomorrow, and Tomorrow, but revolves around animation. And then our friend Carosetta left us a lot of comments. Thank you, Carosetta. I'm going to pick one to talk about, and that is that Carosetta is the only person I know that has so far played the Prince of Persia, the new game, and said it was one of the best Metroidvanias they've played, and I know they love Metroidvanias, so that's a pretty good recommendation for that game.
I'm going to pick one out too as well. Carosetta, hi, I'm back.
Oh yeah, there was Carosetta missed summer.
Hello.
That's right. So if you're out there listening or watching, definitely leave us a comment, send us a note, and we'll try to shout you out next time. And if you are not already on the Discord, come be part of the conversation there. And also, do hop over to the YouTube and hit like and subscribe. That helps us so much. And with that, we are going to talk about some video game news. First up, Princess Peach Showtime is coming out in March, and they gave us a new short trailer for this game that showed off a few new outfits, right? And I think that's kind of what it was focused around.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what the ninja and the cowgirl. How are we feeling, Summer?
Texas cosplayers are having a heyday over Cowgirl Peach right now. And already organizing meetups for we're all going to be Cowgirl Peach. So
is this like Bowsette all over again? Bowsette 2.0?
A little bit. I mean, I am seeing meetups for all of the Peaches already forming as well, but especially now with Cowgirl Peach, they're just losing it.
What if that's the secret of world peace? Everybody just dresses up like Cowgirl Peach, and then all of our problems just disappear.
Yeah,
right?
I think we're gonna have to try it to find out.
Yep. Okay. Well, everybody, give me your measurements at the end of the episode, and I'll start getting to work on it.
It's gonna be clips based on the different Peach outfits. Anyway, the other little bit of news that came out around this is that Nintendo announced a pair of pastel pink Joy-Cons. There was already a pastel pink Joy-Con available, but it was only one of the two. And with this game, now you can get you a pair.
It pains me to say that I require this pair of pastel pink Joy-Cons. I will be picking this up. Yeah. It gives me no pleasure to say that I will be accruing these for my already over large Joy-Con collection. I have more Joy-Cons than I need.
If they did that color though, with the transparent look like they did with the 64s, I would lose my absolute mind, especially with that pale pink, because the Game Boy Advance that was in that color.
Yes.
I'm sorry, that's the one I have.
Yeah.
It is glorious.
I was at the office the other day and I audibly gasped. I was on my lunch break and I was on Reddit and I saw somebody post a picture of all of their systems. They had Joy-Cons that had the see-through orange. Their Steam Deck was done with a see-through orange. Everything they owned was that Spice N64 see-through orange. And I was I was taken aback. I didn't know what to do with myself.
Yeah. I would do that with the pink. Yeah.
All right.
I'll probably also get them.
Bit of an aside there.
Get the pastel Joy-Cons. And I haven't gotten any new colored Joy-Cons since I got the OLED because I've liked the white so much. And I think the pastel pink is the color that is what I require as well.
Yeah. Yep.
We'll move on to F-Zero 99 getting an update. This game has gotten a few updates. We got the thing I've been waiting for, but we still haven't utilized this, y'all. I'm sorry. I should have followed up this weekend. But we got private lobbies finally in F-Zero 99, as well as secret tracks. What does that mean?
I don't really know. I haven't been able to find it yet, but apparently every once in a while there will be a track that pops up that's just a bunch of question marks. And it's a secret track. And I don't know what it is. I haven't talked to anybody who's played on them before, but it's got me actually trying to play again randomly and see if I can find some.
That's why they did it.
Yeah. The game is dying. And so it needs as many gimmicks as it can to bring people back as possible.
Is it fun? Because, F-Zero was my jam back in the SNES days. But that was the last time I played it.
Especially if you liked it back then.
Yeah.
Because I'm someone who, hate is a strong word. I had a very difficult time with it. And I love F-Zero 99. So
Okay.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun.
We're
It's
fans.
yeah. It's
All
a
right.
really good time. It might even be like one of the best F-Zero games, just in like sheer pick up and play and like
Okay.
immediately start having fun with it. Like ability.
Okay.
It's a really, really great game. Yeah.
I don't
and
know
it's free.
why. I haven't played it. I don't know
Mhm.
why, because it was such a big, that and Contra were like the two games I played the most on SNES. And then every time it's been released, it's just blind spot for some reason. I don't know why.
I'm kind of
That's
the
weird.
same, and this one looks like the SNES one, so you know, like, we have that going for us.
Perfect. I'll check it out and do horribly.
Yeah. You do at the beginning do horribly. You know,
or
that's when you get
forever
good.
if you're me.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
you know.
No shame. No shame.
Yeah.
The Splatoon 3 DLC, side order DLC, it finally got dated, and they gave us another trailer for this one too. We got this coming on February 22nd. And I don't know, this trailer doesn't show anything. I still don't understand what this DLC is, but I guess they're banking on people getting it regardless because they aren't telling us what the gameplay is like very well. What do we think about it?
I mean, I got the pass that includes both of these things, so I will be. It will download whenever this comes out automatically onto my Switch. I'm excited for it. I love Splatoon. I'll buy anything Splatoon just because I love the world and I love the aesthetic and the style and everything. So I wish they would give us a little bit of what it actually is. So it's all vibes right now.
other than just doubling down on the whole it's near Automata but with squids.
Yeah, it does
is
kind of look like that.
what-
Yeah.
is
What
how-
does
which I
that
mean is that,
mean?
exactly. I don't
You'll have to
know.
ask Nintendo.
I don't know what it means, but I'm sold. I don't know what it means.
We'll
I
find
think
out.
Splatoon's one of those IPs that they could get away with it because people
yeah.
are hungry for it.
It's their
Yeah.
big
Just be a
four.
box. 'cause,
Yeah.
like, it's the best box ever,
Yeah.
and well deserved.
As you may recall, we talked about this, I don't know, a month or so ago, but the Nintendo Live event in Japan got canceled because of like threats, and that's awful.
yeah.
And sucks. But what they have done is take what were going to be live concerts at that event, and they've now decided that they're going to be on YouTube. So on February 9th and February 10th, there's going to be a Zelda and Splatoon concert, respectively, broadcast. So that sucks that the event has had to be canceled because of threats, but
Yeah, that's weird.
the
Mhm.
rest of us, I guess, in the world get to see this live on YouTube if you want to. So
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I went to the Orchestra of the Goddess, I think it was called, or Concert of the Goddess or something. They did a touring Zelda orchestra like a few years ago, and that was incredible. And I had such a good time when I went to that. And so now seeing new stuff with music from Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom as well makes me really excited because those soundtracks are kind of, I think, underappreciated. You know, it's like so much of that game is like ambience and atmosphere and all this kind of stuff. And so the music kind of goes in and out of everything, right? But then you stop and actually listen to the songs by themselves and you're like, oh, this is really, really incredible music, right? So seeing it live with the full orchestra, man, I can't wait to see these.
moving on, as we heard, the Wii U and the 3DS, basically the what's it called, Nintendo Network, the previous online network Nintendo used for their devices, they have dated now when that's going to shut off, and that's April 8th. So it's not that far away when 3DS and Wii U online functionality will essentially be gone. So we got a couple months notice here. I don't know how active some of those are right now, but I imagine they'll get a quick uptick and then be shut down. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. If anybody's got any thoughts on this, please share.
I never got New Hampshire, and I expected to get it at MagFest. I got Nova Scotia, which has an even smaller population. I looked it up after I got it. There's
Are you talking about Street Pass?
Street Pass, yeah. Which
Well,
I mean,
apparently
it's still
Street
going to
Pass-
happen, I guess.
I think Street Pass will still work, as I
think it's-
understand.
From what I understand, you'll still get Street Passes, but I don't think you can do the games anymore because that technically is like through their online systems.
Right.
Which I completed all my puzzles, but I know not everyone.
Get wrecked, nerds.
Yeah, I think now more than ever, all eyes have kind of moved to the Pretendo network, that kind of like fan run server. And I mean, a lot of those have actually worked pretty well. Like I know the one that's on the Wii, I think it's called it's like Read something. I don't know. It's called something like that. But anyway, that works great. And they're like opening up the like Wii shop again, like the original Wii shop. And so it's like that could have, well, that was dubious legal status on that, right? But also like the store has been shut down forever and you can't play games online anymore. So I think I'm very interested to see how far they get along with this like fan run servers, and hopefully they can keep it going for a while. And you have to think it's not going to be too huge of a server load for the number of people that are going to be like modding their Wii U's and then going on to this fan-made network. It's not going to be like a massive amount. I think even just with the number of Wii U's that are out there, it wouldn't even be that big of a server load, right? But yeah, it's still a sad thing to see, especially as we're kind of like going into this all digital future, which is inevitable. Seeing whole stores shut down, it's just kind of like, okay, this is what we're going to be dealing with in the future.
It's sad.
Looking to the future, then, which the next Nintendo console, which we here at Super Switch Headz officially hope is called the Super Switch. But because that would really help. But everybody else calls the Switch 2, which I guess would work for us too. It wouldn't ruin our name.
They've never done that though. Nintendo's never done that.
They're not going.
I love how every time we talk about the next console rumors, we just end up talking about ourselves and what it's going to do for our SEO.
It really affects us. So anyway, Bloomberg has a report based on some sources about the specs, right? And I guess this is based on some things that Sharp said. David, I like to toss it to you for these kinds of technical things. Can you help us out with what
I mean, it's really, it's not anything really intense. I mean, it's just, it's kind of corroborating something that Nate said on the Nate the Hate podcast a while ago. He's kind of a leaker and insider, that the next Switch is going to have an 8-inch LCD screen.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, it's big. It's also not an OLED, and I think a lot of people are upset. And of course, obviously, wait until you hear it from the horse's mouth, right? There's still a rumor at this point. But now, we had already heard about this based on orders that Sharp had been doing, making like massive orders for 8-inch panels that were going to Nintendo. And then now it's being corroborated by some insiders that are speaking to Bloomberg. And, I mean, so it's Bloomberg doesn't just like report on any rumors. It's usually when stuff is pretty corroborated. So I think it's probably going to be good. I mean, an 8-inch screen feels nice and big, and I like my OLED screen. But
is it actually 8 inches or is it tender 8 inches?
It'd be that's a good question. It's 5'11" and a half.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but I think LCD tech has gotten a little bit better, right? Like since the original Switch came out, so I'm not too worried about it. We'll see what happens when this thing eventually drops.
Pal World, which we've talked about a lot, is continuing to sell a lot. Like I think they said 8 million units have shipped. Maybe last I saw, I don't know. Who knows at this point? It could be more. So this game continues to do really well. And since we're a Nintendo podcast, we'll have to talk about the fact that I guess because people who are big Pokemon fans made a big stink about it. I guess the Pokemon company felt like they should make some sort of official statement, and they did, saying we'll look into it. Basically, I assume that was done just to appease people that were, I don't know.
Read like to me,
it
was very much like I'll go check in the back for what you're asking.
Yeah, sure.
Play on their phone.
That's a really good analogy. I'll go check in the back. I like that. Yeah, they made a statement. Like I said, pretty much just we'll look into it. And I'm sure that and in fact, I think they did say that in the statement, right? Like we have received your messages. But that happened. And we can move on to the depressing news now, which moves us away from Nintendo and into unfortunate string of layoffs that continue to happen in the industry. Man, this sucks. But I think the Riot thing happened first, technically. So we can start there. over at Riot, the CEO put out like a public statement, or that was also an internal message, wherein they essentially decided to get rid of 11% of their staff, which apparently was roughly 500 and some people, and also talked about just like reorganization and shutting down the what's it called, the Forge, where they make
Riot Forge. That it was like their indie kind of
the single player
thing, right?
games.
Yeah.
Which there's a big one,
the publishing arm.
The big one, the Bandle is like comes out like in a week or two. So we don't even know what the result of that will be. Like, I mean, obviously they don't think it's good and it'll be good, or enough.
I mean, I don't know that it's that. I think it's just like they just pumped out so many of these Riot Forge games, you know, and I think that Riot has always been this very like cocksure company because they're swimming in cash from League of Legends all the time. And so I think they're like, oh, it reminds me of like Netflix, right? Like Netflix was top of the game. It still is top of the game. But for so long, they were just like, all right, we're just spending billions every year on like a million different movies that are coming out. And then now they're like, oh, nobody's subscribing to Netflix because of the number of movies we're putting out. So now they're like pulling back, right? I think the same thing happened with Riot Forge, is like they just pretended like money didn't exist for a while, and then now the returns are showing that like, oh, people aren't buying these, and so they're like, we'll just focus on what works, which is League of Legends, right? At least that's kind of my takeaway from this.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe Tencent involvement, I don't know, who knows. But that's one of the big ones. Then Microsoft announced a bunch of people being laid off between Xbox and Activision Blizzard, which
Bethesda got hit pretty big too.
Oh, and Bethesda, which, you know, these mergers, and then I don't know, like it's awful. And there was, you know, projects that had been in the works for a while that they canceled. In particular, a survival game that was dubbed Project Odyssey is canceled. Gosh, it's got to be frustrating to have been on that, to say the least, right? And just today we found out another one that Embracer is laying off people at IDOS in Montreal.
Fuck Embracer. I don't know if we're allowed to cuss, but
please.
Oh, you can cuss. Yeah.
Fuck Embracer. Every single person in that C-suite can choke on something very spiky, because I think
they could choke on an 8-inch LCD display.
Yeah. Get that LCD. But it's what they're doing is cruel, and it's disgusting, and it's methodical, and it's they're getting richer and richer. And then they had that post that went viral today of all of the shareholders, which is like a bunch of just old white dudes being like, we're gonna just relax and just center and realign. It's like, why don't you realign on these nuts, you assholes? Why don't you give people some of their jobs back? Because we've got Activision Blizzard and all of those layoffs, 1,900 people. We are almost at 7,000 January alone, and that's including the ones we know about. I know of 2 indie studios that have done layoffs that nobody's going public with it for some reason, and that's not even including the other stuff that's just getting buried because the algorithms and headlines aren't picking it up. All the AAA studios are grabbing all of the attention, which... Yeah.
Oh, it's good. It's massive. It's like unfathomable amounts of people losing their jobs all at once. You know, it's like on the day of the Riot layoffs, it was like my Twitter feed was just that like red square, you know, just like scrolling through, and you're just like, oh my God, it's like all these people are like, I'm one of the ones. It was me. Yeah, it's just really depressing to see. And the Microsoft stuff is especially infuriating. I mean, I think mergers and acquisitions kind of always end in layoffs, but it's like, this was such a public acquisition, the $69 billion purchase that they made, right? And it went on for years and years and years. And it's also so infuriating because I think it was on the same day that they announced all these layoffs, they announced that like Microsoft is now officially a $3 trillion company.
2 hours later!
Yeah.
2 hours later! They were like, this is a good time to deploy this info.
Yeah. I just don't understand who that information is for. I don't.
Shareholders.
Yeah, I suppose so.
That's what it always comes. Just like E3, EA's. Everybody's like, E3 sucks. It's like, yeah, because it's not for you. It's for shareholders. Right. Everything revolves around shareholders right now. And then people are wondering why mass-produced video games are starting to lose that magic. between AI and shareholder input that is the final say no matter what, and they've never played a video game in their life, of course it's losing its edge. That's why so many people need to keep talking and speaking up about it. Those that are comfortable. I understand that people aren't comfortable, but we need to. That's another topic that's leading into the main topic. I'm going to stop myself.
No, yeah.
That's a great segue.
Well, yeah. Well, it's hard to separate. So why don't we stop here? Because this is all stuff we want to hit in a minute. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a very short break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking all about this, the state of the industry with the layoffs and the closures and what's going on. We are back, and this week we are talking about all the layoffs that have been happening and trying to make some sense of it and talk through it. Obviously, last year felt really terrible as 10,000 or more people lost their jobs in video games, and we're already almost there in January. So,
Liana, I don't know that we actually properly introduced you at the top of the episode, so I'm going to go ahead and put you on the spot. You like to tell our audience, why we brought you on the show?
Yeah, or what's your background and that sort of thing,
with
too.
my shit-eating grin on my face. I was one of the people that was laid off in the great layoffs of 2023 at Bungie. I was one of 8% of the studio that was laid off. We were laid off. We knew it was coming. The entire studio had been speaking up about concerns that leadership was not pivoting fast enough. And unfortunately, leadership wasn't willing to listen to anyone's concerns and promised that if they ever did layoffs, they would tell us in advance, which is now proven false. And it's not a Bungie specific thing. A lot of studios handle layoffs like that. And the reason why most of us are speaking out, you're seeing more devs than ever before speak out. It's not a stable industry. It's never been a stable industry, but this is record breaking. And it's because of very stupid decisions that even high schoolers were able to point out of, hey, the COVID bubble is going to eventually burst. If you're going to expand during this time, that's fine, but make sure you're doing the proper restructuring that goes with it. And they just wanted to cash those fancy bonus checks and pretend like everything was fine. And then exactly what everyone in the industry has been saying was going to happen happened. And instead of taking pay cuts, and we're getting CEOs that are getting $50+ million bonuses, yet you can't retain your employees that make it special, make the game that you are profiting off of. And I think with a lot of us too, and a lot of community managers and soft skills people that are being hit in gaming, regardless, we're often seen as not important. But I can tell you, especially at Bungie, we have pivoted in ways that you wouldn't even believe. It's diabolical. Some of the ways we've been able to redirect conversation, and wholesomely, not by lying, not by anything, but by being engaged, being a part of the community. Bethesda's community team also got hit. Ubisoft's team the entire community team got gutted. The community teams, social teams, PR teams are usually the first to be hit, and it's dumb. And we're not going to be taking it anymore, because if you're going to force us to relocate, drop everything and move, and then lay off with no protection, we want to see the people that are accountable, the people that are literally making the decisions that are causing these layoffs to be inevitable. They need to be the first to be hit, because you are obviously not as adept at your job that you think you are. We all know you're not hired there because you're the smartest in the room. You're hired to be the protector and to steer the ship, and you failed both. So you failed at your position. Step down. Let somebody else get into that position. Let more women be in that position, because this industry has treated us like shit. We know how to roll with the punches. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I said I was going to be chill about this. That is not already the case.
No, it's good. I mean, there's like so many great points that you brought up there. It's like hard to pick exactly the one to latch onto. But I think like just talking about community positions that are the first to be let go, I find that especially ironic and kind of sadistic, mainly because I feel like the majority of huge layoffs that are happening, not all of them, but a lot of them are around companies that put community focused games out. And I think a big reason why a lot of these companies are needed to do layoffs in the first place is because they've gone all in on live service games and ongoing games that live and die by their communities, and like, so the fact that so often you see the people who are actually the forward facing people who are also taking the heat from disgruntled gamers.
And work 24/7 because people
Exactly.
don't care if it's 2:00 on a Sunday. They don't care.
Right. And so I find that particularly ironic and really shitty in so many ways. And then, yeah, it's like, as far as like CEOs go, it's like Satoru Iwata, like at Nintendo, I feel like is still like to this day, such an anomaly in games. And as far as like presidents and CEOs go, especially considering that he was like a programmer. It's like he is
That's
like,
why he wasn't a businessman.
Exactly. Right. It's like when you kind of take from other businesses, they're not going to have the foresight or at least the humility to actually take cuts when they need to. And, he knew what it was like to be like one of the little guys, right? We need more people like that, and women, like you said as well, Liana.
Yeah. I actually did a video about this not too long ago about the live service bubble bursting. So I have a master's degree in business. I've been in this industry 21 years. A lot of that was journalism and covering studio closures and layoffs and things like that. So you do it long enough, you learn how to identify patterns. I've been personally on Bungie's side, I've been flagging that layoffs were going to be inevitable since April of 2022, which I'm sure has made me very popular with C-suite. And one of the things is, obviously it's like with the big video boom that hit journalism years ago when everybody pivoted to video. It's the same thing. Everybody's pivoting to live service. The problem is you have the trendsetters and the trendsettees, and studios are not willing to have the hard conversations that are needed to know which one you fall in. Like, that's a big trap Bungie fell into. Bungie was always the trendsetter. Bungie is the creme de la creme of live service, in my opinion, for a lot of reasons, because it's so meticulous, so detailed, so beautifully woven. The story is good. The lore is good. The movement's good. But the problem is it's always like a marathon day, even Desert Storm days. They were the innovator. They were the trendsetters. They didn't care about what anybody else was doing. It's the Bungie magic. We're going to do what we're going to do. Because it was just a couple nerds that got together in a basement. Like, let's make cool shit. And then they got in this loop of being trapped in the live service. Well, but now we have all this competition in live service space. Like, how many times have you heard of Destiny killers? And all of those Destiny killers are now killed. And because a part of it is you need to be able to fail. However, instead of recognizing we've moved away from being the trendsetter, we are now the trend follower. You didn't restructure to be a trend follower. You're still structured to be a trendsetter. So when you're chasing those trends, you don't have the time, the resources, or the leeway to chase those trends in a timely manner. So by the time you're ready to deploy whatever fad you're trying to ship out, it's no longer trendy. It's going to be a net loss, or you're going to cancel it altogether, which is a complete waste of time and resources, because those are devs that could have been working on something else or providing support for the ongoing experiences. And we're seeing this at other studios as well. And you just have to have those hard conversations. You need to. And stop surrounding yourself with yes people. Leadership, please. No is, you're not frat boys. No is not your enemy.
At least that's how it was shown publicly as what kind of was happening with Naughty Dog, right? Where they were like, okay, unfortunately, layoffs, they still were a lot of layoffs at Naughty Dog as well. But, they at least were like, look, Sony, we're not going to do this, this live service game. It's like, we just can't. It's like, if we do that, we will just be a live service studio, and that's going to be what we do from now on, right? And and all the people that would have been working on single players would have been laid off because their entire studio wouldn't have been profitable at that point, right? So at least some people are starting to do that.
I think a good example about the overspending too, like, again, I'm just saying Bungie because that's the experience I'm familiar with. They created 2 or 3 years ago, a new studio that was 15 miles away from the current studio for whatever reason is beyond everyone. Like, everyone was confused by that decision. And that was a $53 million investment, and they closed it down less than a year later because they were like, actually, that was pretty stupid. We shouldn't have done that. It's like, can you do that without spending the 53? And then that later, the next year, they had this whole thing where they flew in everybody. All of remote workers, international people all came in. They rented out this huge building. for like 3 or 4 days straight. It was very expensive. The studio was running at half mast because they were doing cool things. It was a very cool team building thing, but it was very expensive resource wise and money wise. And then at that point, you already know layoffs are going to be on the horizon. Why would it's equivalent? Remember when Activision Blizzard did that big 800 layoff a couple years ago? And then like 3 weeks later, they rented out the entire Disney park as a holiday party. And it's like, gee, I wonder why we're having money issues. Like, weird.
Yeah.
We don't need to all go to Disney. We need to all have jobs.
Yeah. I would like to keep my insurance, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
I like to be able to buy my own ticket to Disney, actually.
Right.
Go on my own terms with my family, maybe.
Yeah, not be forced.
Yeah, instead of all of these coworkers. Yeah.
So many things going on. I think we've talked about live service games and we talked about, the COVID bubble, but obviously the other big thing is one of the other big contributing factors, which we kind of talked about in the news section, is like mergers and acquisitions like Embracer Group and Microsoft and Sony and other people buying up all these studios. And that's just going to lead to layoffs, right? There's going to be redundancy. There's going to be somebody who doesn't know how to run these places now being in charge, right? Or doesn't know about the culture or whatever, This has been happening a lot, all right? Like we just talked about, IDOS Montreal, and I know there's been a bunch of other studios closed by Embracer recently. One little like hopeful nugget out of this is that maybe there was some news, and I can't remember which studio it was, like Volition or something, where some people are going to be opening, new studios. There's all these talented people out there now.
That's another thing, though.
Is it just going to be the next?
We're seeing a lot of people warning, and a lot of lawyers in this business warning too, because it is very enticing to be like, we have so many knowledgeable people, we can do this ourselves. You don't know business. And a lot of times, and I'm not saying this is a surefire way. I have a lot of friends that are attempting to make their own studios, and I will support them every step of the way because I believe if they get the right knowledge, which is out there, you can get it, they're going to succeed. But when you have so many booming at once, and a lot of them are still competing in the live service case, look at Fantastic Pixel. These are all companies that are investing in live service that are coming in late to the game, and they aren't going to be deploying until 2025, 2026.
Right.
But I think that the biggest thing, the gaming industry needs to find its soul again, because we're seeing all of these acquisitions, and it's not like how it not all the time was, but used to be more often than not, where like they're acquiring to beef up their portfolio, beef up what they have to bring to consumers, beef up their talent. Now it's just, I'm going to buy this so the other guy can't get it. And so they're not structured to take on those types of teams because they're not doing it for the investment of the IPs and the creative freedom. They're doing it so it's one less advantage that the competition could have. And when you have that, you're playing with people's lives.
I mean, that's kind of what it seems like Sony was trying to do with Bungie in the first place, right? It was like, well, it felt like it was almost like a response to the Microsoft, like Activision, like getting COD. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you guys have Call of Duty, we've got a shooter as well. It's all of a sudden the big boys, and I think Microsoft's been actually doing this throughout the entirety of the Phil Spencer like regime, if you want to call it this. Like, I think that I like Phil. Phil seems like he's a chill guy. He loves fucking Destiny, but it's like, I think that they've thrown so much of their money around. They're always like, hey, look at all our developers, right? But they're not homegrown developers. They're like people that they've bought like over the years, right? And a lot, Sony has the studios that they've been working with since the PlayStation 1 days and stuff like that. Nintendo, fucking Miyamoto and Tezuka are still making Mario games. You know what I mean? There's a difference there where it's like people are buying up studios like they're fucking Pokemon cards and try to battle them against each other. You're right. I think there's got to be like a come to Jesus moment on like, what are we actually doing here? And like, aren't we in this for the love of the game? Like, where did that go? Right.
I will say I really did like working under Sony. I was head of accessibility with Drew Tucker, and they immediately created a strike group with all of the Sony studios, and I got to present a bunch of epilepsy and photosensitivity tools and stuff. And Sony was not involved in the layoff decision for Bungie. That was firmly on Bungie's leadership, and they've admitted that to themselves, I think, internally, and I believe externally as well, if not breaking news.
Mhm.
I'm just mad. I'm mad
Sure.
because there's a lot of, we're losing a lot of good talent, and there's just not enough jobs to keep up with the continuously growing number of people getting outed as jobs. And also a lot of the boom of new studios means they're not going to have necessarily the biggest budgets.
Right.
So a lot of the veteran devs that do deserve and require a higher level of pay are also going to have to make a decision. Do I continue being able to pay the bills I have, or do I take the job down, which I've done before? There's nothing wrong with doing that. But one thing I think is not what I'm really scared of personally is what this means for early in career folks. Because early in career folks, people are like, oh, they're having the worst because they're not going to get considered. No. Veterans are not being, for once, it hurts you to be a veteran in this industry unless you're well, super well known, because they want to exploit the early in career folks. Because the early in career folks, especially if they've only had one gaming job, a lot of them don't still really know better, because a lot of them are only like 1 year in. They haven't had a chance to really learn the industry inside it out yet. And so they're going to be doing these labor intensive positions for a lot less of pay than they deserve.
The like, you should just be happy to be here crew, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm really worried about. And then we're going to have a whole other wave of burnout and crunch, and we're going to reset a lot of the work that's been done in the last couple of years to make the game scene a little bit safer and more humane for folks.
So I've done a little bit of freelance writing for video games, and I'm part of this community of people that are at various stages, right? It's a nice small community of people who, some people have been working for a little while as in narrative, and some people are up and coming. And I'm just seeing a really awful malaise upon that community, and upon, there's people who are being laid off from some of these companies we've been talking about. And so there's a lot of like, somebody will post the news and other people are like, don't post that news here, please. It's just triggering. I just got laid off. And then like what you're talking about, people who are like, do I even want to do this? And I know you're interested in mental health in this. I don't know. Is there any, like, do we have any hope for those people? Is it time to look for other industries, or is it a long view thing? Do you have any thoughts on any of that? Are you coping with this? It's a lot of questions. I'm sorry.
I know it's good. They're just very heavy questions. I mean, for me, like, I grew up homeless. I grew up high risk environment. So I'm constantly making sure I have safety nets. So I would always advise people to always develop skills in networking outside of an industry, regardless, because a lot of the positions in gaming, again, with crunch and stuff, it's not sustainable when you're older. And so it's just a nice safety net to have anyway. But yeah, people are going to have to come to terms with, you might need to work outside of the industry. But here's the thing. And that's my one gripe I have with gaming Twitter is everything is fatalistic. And you see it with just like Palworld. Before anybody even had facts, people were demanding cancellations and studio closures. And that's an indie studio. Like you care about indies or not. Like, I'm saying, it's fine to do it, but have facts first, like verify it first. And they're not. And it's just, and that's fine. But this is like, that's the trend of the gaming Twitters. Everything has to go from 0 to 60. We can't slow down a little bit. It makes me really upset. Because it is traumatic, and it is, I think that's why a lot of people in soft skills too right now are speaking up the most, because it's such a slap in the face. I lost, within the first year I was there, I lost 60 pounds because of stress. We have direct contacts with FBI because of the amount of times we would get doxxed. Mental health was the worst, which is why I created mental health at Bungie. And it's just to bleed and be the bullet shield, especially for CMs and social media people. You're literally the bullet shield. You are the one to redirect the conversation. You're the one to take the hits and then dilute those hits into something palatable for everybody else. So to be able to be told you're good enough to be a bullet shield, but not good enough for raises, never got promoted, wasn't even given an option. Even though a senior position opened up, they decided to give it to a contractor instead, and then said we weren't even allowed to apply. We're community managers, social media managers, we're notoriously underpaid throughout the entire industry. but we are expected to be on. And then everything you do is policed. I don't know if it's the same where everywhere, but my experience has been you can't post about other games a whole lot, or you can't, I remember one time I posted a picture in a sundress and I was told it's a T-rated game, Liana. And it was a very appropriate dress. It was a dress I wore out to like a church environment. And,
Right.
and it's like, you get to dictate our lives and you get to demoralize us and not pay us what we're worth and let us take the hits, but the wins are yours to claim, but the failures we're supposed to claim, and then just to throw us away. And they encourage your entire, let's talk about this mental thing. This is what I know. Every CM friend that I know is impacted. We're all struggling with this really bad. When you're in that, especially a position like that, that's more public facing, you are encouraged to build your entire personality around the job. You can preach work-life balance all you want, but execs don't want work-life balance for the CMs. They don't. And for 2.5 years, I was hippie. That was who I was, with a community that I loved. And Bethesda's CMs, she was the heart of a lot of those communities. And you made that our entire life. Everything centered around the game you're working on. And then it's not even that you lose your job, you lose safety, but you also kind of in a weird way lose a little part of your identity, because now you have to figure out, where does all of this energy that I had to devote to curating a welcoming environment, where do I put that now? Especially now, because who knows when people are getting jobs. We're all just kind of hoping for the best. But that's, I think, something that I think I would encourage, if you can, anybody impacted, especially if you're resonating with anything that was just said, like, if you can, try to see a therapist or a counselor, because I've been on both sides of the layoffs and it's bad for everybody, but it's even worse when you know it's weaponized. A lot of these layoffs are targeting people that are pro-union, pro-accessibility, anything that's trying to better the industry that could potentially come back negatively on C-suite is being targeted. And to see how much we give to be thrown away because you just can't be an adult and realize that if you have nothing to hide, none of this should be scaring you. That's why. And you have to be able to parse that and let yourself heal, man. Because we're all gamers. We all are here. Nobody would be a game dev if they didn't play video games. Why? You would have to be nuts. Why would you? Your consumers are screaming at you every day. Literally anything else. I literally did 2 tours overseas when I was active duty, and I was still more stressed on the game dev side than I was literally getting shot at. It's just, nobody's here. We all love it, and we love our teams, and it's a big support system, and you need to process. I know you want to hit the job hunting, especially if you've got a severance. Take as much time as you need. You might see other people getting back into it, and maybe that works best for them. But if you are recovering from burnout or still processing, give yourself that time, because if not, you're going to be carrying a lot of that trauma into your next job, and you're not going to be able to put your best foot forward, and you're not going to give yourself the best experience possible right out of the gate.
Man. Yeah, that is such good advice. And you're right. It's like people that get into these kinds of industries, like animation included, any kind of entertainment, they're in it for the love of the game and they love this kind of stuff. But you have to remember that it's a job still, and that you are an asset to the company, right? I'm currently in the process of unionizing at my job as well. And that's something that we're having to, it's a grind, man. We're working on it. It's early days still, right? We're working on it, and it's not like I love where I work and I love my company. I think that's why we're doing this to begin with, right? But you have to look out for yourself, right? And you have to look out not only for yourself, but for your coworkers and the people around you, and try to lift each other up as much as possible. Just talking about this is making me realize I've been raw dogging life for the past few months. I got to hit my therapist back up.
Right? I feel you, man. I feel you. And I love that you said raw dogging, because I said that earlier, and I didn't mean to, but I said it in an interview. I was like, I'm just out here raw dogging life, man, hoping for the best. I got to follow enough interviews, so apparently it was okay.
Hey, resonated.
Let's go.
There's so much that was just said that I would like to talk about, but a couple of things. There are some people in games who don't do it for the love of the games, and that's the business people
The
and
CEOs.
the CEOs. And that's, the part of the problem, right? Like, that it's all about money and growth. And I mean, somewhat that's a cultural problem, a worldwide problem of capitalism and all that. And one of the things that you all also just mentioned is unionization, and it is one of the weapons or whatever to fight back against that, which is increasingly showing some small signs in games. And let's hope for more of that, right? And other media and just in life in general. I don't know. I'm just rambling now.
Apes together strong.
Speaking of the unionization, though, like, chat, stop asking devs when they're unionizing. We cannot confirm if those efforts are in the process publicly. Yeah. The second they do that,
yes,
there is a target on their back. Yeah. When unionization talks become public, that is when the anti-union efforts kick up. And those scare tactics that they deploy are very effective. That is why it is recommended to not go public with your unionization efforts until you're at least 40% at studio growth of having that on your side. But I will say a lot of your faves are actively unionizing, and we're going to see a lot of people going public with demands in 2024, 2025, which is then going to lead into a new problem of, do we allow for a bunch of independent unionizations that can tailor for different work environments? Or is there a risk of that where things can fall through the cracks if something's not properly maintained, where we need a more centralized union environment like SAG-AFTRA is for movies. Or
IATSE or something like that, right? Yeah. Yeah, we had to be so secretive about everything up until, I mean, it was almost until right before we took a vote, and then fortunately we were able to get voluntary recognition. But then even then, that's like the start of the process, right?
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot that's going into it. But I do think I think you're totally right. I think there's got to be industry-wide covers, game testers, actual
QA
programmers,
and contractors,
artists, QA,
protect our contractors.
Absolutely. It's got to be like sweeping, right? And I think that, not to say that these little bespoke unions that are popping up aren't a great step in the right direction, dude. Like hot labor summer. It doesn't matter how it happens. Let's make it happen. Right. And it's the groundswell is happening. Right. But it's like the next step is like industry-wide unions. Right. I mean, like Hollywood's had it for almost 100 years now. Right. And it works, I mean,
strength in numbers. In numbers. If we split and divide, it's too easy to fall to intimidation tactics. Yeah. Because they really do work. There are a lot of people that are terrified to even join those discords that even discuss unionization, because they're like, if they find out, because a lot of jobs monitor your personal computers too, which is super fun. So
yikes.
Hate that.
Yeah.
I always forget about that. Yeah.
It's great.
No, truly. A lot of them track your, phone number and emails, like even your personal ones. So, that's why they say not to use your personal phone number signing up for social media and everything. And even with Discord, you got to be careful because they do have a way to see those things.
Can we briefly get back to just shitting on Embracer Group?
I love shit
because
Embracer.
All my homies fucking hate Embracer Group. I think the thing that's pissed me off most about Embracer Group, other than the fact that like they did a big deal with the Saudi government, which is what caused all of this to fall apart in the first place. Never do deals with the Saudi government. We should know this by now. But regardless of that,
we will lose every time.
yeah, exactly. Regardless of that, what pisses me off most about this is that they played. So much of what Embracer Group did was play at gamer nostalgia.
They own Legacy of Kain. I'm terrified of what that means for
exactly. And like the Time Splitters devs, I'm forgetting their name right now, unfortunately. But it's like they're like, hey, you remember this great thing? We're bringing the band back together. We're putting it all on the line, and then they like shut it down, right? And it's been happening constantly. And the way they were able to do this.
It's actually a brilliant marketing strategy.
Well, yeah, and you pay pennies. You pay pennies because it's not a hot IP right now. So it's like just little bits, but these people like require like full ass salaries, So it's like to get the IP is nothing, and then bringing back the people, it makes for great headlines, right? And it gets people on their side. And then it's just been so methodical,
And it makes
like the
shareholders
shutdown
happy.
of everything. Yeah, exactly. That's all it is.
Remember the day we found out we got acquired by Sony? Everybody was terrified. Like I could tell, because we have these like town hall meetings every Thursday where you can talk to leadership and they'll answer questions, and it's all very transparent. It's very cool. And I remember when they did it, like they all had smiles on their faces, like they were so excited to share the news, and like chat was dead quiet. It was just like, what does this mean for our insurance? What does this mean for retention? Layoffs was like the #1 trending question. And it's no hate against Sony at all, but also look at Bungie's history with buyouts. Like, boy, stay home. Like, pick a home and stay there. Like, come on. And it's just, it's to the point where like you can't even be hopeful. At this point right now, until we get 180 shift, acquiring news is a guaranteed kiss of death. But here's the thing. And okay, a lot of people are going to disagree with me here. So just bear with me for a second.
Sure.
There is just a basic pattern for business, civilization, all of it. You've got the ideation, the implementation, and then rise to success. You'll usually plateau, and this can last in civilization, can last up to thousands of years. It can last 5 years. For industries, it can last anywhere between 6 months to 8 years is the typical average medium. And then eventually, just like everything in life, you have the decline, the total destruction, and the rebirth. That is just a fact of life. There's nothing in this world that doesn't follow that similar pattern. And people keep saying, it's never going to get better. It's never going to get better. And I understand that, because it is true. It's never going to get better in its current iteration. However, this is why we need to be as knowledgeable as possible. Don't just regurgitate shit you hear your favorites say. You need to do your own research. Now's the great time to get interested in business design and acquisition and law. But like, here's the time where if we are knowledgeable, we sound knowledgeable, we're actually knowledgeable, which there are some of the most brilliant minds in games, but knowledgeable, sticking together, voicing against injustice, and making a demand of everything that is still wrong with the industry that the Me Too movement we had a couple of years ago kicked off. Get that in writing. And when we do these mass unionizations, like for me, if we ever do, Bungie ever does public unionization, I have a list of execs that I would love to list as these people need to go. That needs to be a part of it. Because here's the thing. When you buy a house and there's mold in the foundation, they don't tell you paint over it and you're good. They're going to tell you to gut out your foundation and start from scratch. That's where we're at now. And it sucks. It's the worst thing. It's worst possible scenario. It's not comfortable at all. It's not meant to be comfortable. We're in the destruction phase. We are in that decline. We're not at the bottom yet, but we're very close to that bottom. We're going to hit the bottom, in my opinion, towards the end of this year. And then we're looking at anywhere between 1 to 3 years of destruction phase. That can be lessened if we are knowledgeable, we're working together, we're protecting each other, and we're speaking up, because now is the time that we can clear the rot out of our foundation. But we can't do that if we keep getting sidelined by all of these conversations like they're the biggest deal of like, oh, this streamer said this or this troll said this, and we're spending all day talking about it. Like, who gives a fuck? There are people dying, Kim. We have to be smart right now, because there are more of us than there are of them. Let's fucking teabag these fuckers and make some change. It's time. Yeah. It's time, because if we sit back and let them control the narrative, this was all for nothing, and we'll get to do it again in 5 to 6 years. Or we could make lasting change. Your call.
Yeah.
Amen.
Liana for president.
Do we stop there?
If you could cut out the rot without a $100 million golden parachute as well, that would be really nice. A la Bobby Kotick and stuff like that, right?
Why do we give him $91 million and don't lock him in a broom closet like he deserves?
Yeah, that's a
great
question.
We could rob him. He's out of shape. He's never lifted a thing in his life. We could take him. We could rob him for everything he's got.
He doesn't have calluses on his programming fingers.
Why does anybody get to make $90 million? That's
a great question.
I think that's one of our problems, like not in the video game industry, just in capitalism and this world, is that like money is anyway, that's beyond the scope, but it is also related.
I mean, it's part of the conversation, though. Like it's a lot of what Liana was saying about how we've moved so far away from games that were good because it was just weirdos in a room together making funny art, and that is good. And now it is capitalism and like productivity toxic crap that's pushing into these spaces because video games make money, not looking into why they make money, just they make money. So I think it's okay for us to have that part of the conversation because it is part of it. It has gotten enveloped in that larger unfortunate reality hellscape we live in.
Just real briefly too, then we talked about Iwata, but and you know, one of the things I've been hearing about is like, why isn't this happening in Japan? Because Japan has laws against laying off people, right? And like Japan's got problems. Let's not like, you know, I know
let's not like totally boost up Japan's work culture.
I know the game devs in Japan don't make very much money, but there should be laws against laying off people when CEOs take that kind of large pay. Like, I don't know where we make that law and what the number is.
But the union, if we do a centralized union, we can bake that stuff in there actually, here's story time. I almost got fired at Bungie. And the only reason I didn't get fired was because the community liked me. It would have been a PR nightmare, which they told me that was because I posted a meme that they really had to reach backwards to justify that it was spoiling something in the future, because I've posted that meme publicly like 5 other times and literally nobody cared. So I can almost lose my job with no notice over a meme without asking or anything. But the companies that lay off a significant portion of their business, they get not only not a slap on the wrist, but they get a monetary reward and safety measures. So why is it the people that make your communities, that make your game, are the first to go over the tiniest infraction? Because there were a lot of wrongful terminations across the industry that there's no record of why they were ever terminated. Layoffs don't come from nowhere. You don't just wake up one day and be like, oh, we're broke. There are so many signs. But the problem is, and this is really big in AAA, they only care if it's at critical status. The amount of times that we would flag things and be like, this needs to be handled now, or it's going to be a very big problem down the road. And they're like, we'll wait till it's then, and then we'll know how bad it is. No, you hire these teams to be able to give you this contextualized, nuanced data to help avoid these PR nightmares and brand trust deterioration. And then you just don't want to ever listen to them. That sounds like a failure on your part as leadership. And it sounds to me that you're not really equipped for your role.
I think it's also like just our system is fucked. I mean, this is like a Western problem. You know what I mean? It really is a Western. It's, this is just, we're so fucking rock hard for capitalism. Like the system is built for this to happen every single time. And the bigger and bigger that the games industry get, and the more and more people that realize, oh shit, the games industry makes how much more than Hollywood? It makes, this is where the money is.
Than movies and TV combined.
Exactly. Right. So it's like, obviously you're going to have all these like opportunistic bad actors come in. Right. And it's like, I don't want to make this an insurmountable problem and just be like, we're all fucked and it's just going to be bad forever. But it's like hard to see the silver lining when the status quo just keeps staying the same year after year after year. And, and it's like, and then where we're at with, here we are, 2024 election year. It's like, what's going to really change this go around, gang? Like, I'm not trying to be so fatalistic. I'm not just trying to be gaming Twitter, Liana, I promise. But,
but it's true. It's true. It's like,
it's hard to see the forest through the trees sometimes,
especially when that, like the hint of that light is years away. Like that's even harder because you just have to brace for impact at that point and just hope you can and pick up contract. Early career folks, I would always say pick up contract. I would say for any media folks listening, there's a lot of really big stories that should be breaking and aren't because just certain patterns aren't being seen. So I will just give a polite nudge, former journo to journo, that pay attention to how many people leave a studio after layoffs happen, post layoffs, because the amount of people on that is a direct correlation of how fucked. Not only was the experience leading up to those layoffs, but how the layoffs were handled internally. Because there are a lot of people jumping ship from those studios.
Yeah, morale has got to be awful, right? Like at a place where you just lost all your friends and your job.
It's awful. Well, because they just breached your trust. A lot of these executives prey on their family, and you dare to speak up against them. Why are you so anti da da da? And it's like, we're not. We're just asking a question. It shouldn't be that big of a deal, but apparently it is. I don't know.
Let's move back to an agrarian society. What are you guys thinking?
I want to go back to barter. Actually, I've been doing that a lot lately. I'm accessibility consultant. I'm also a business consultant, and I'm also a community consultant. And I've been like, hey, you do this. I'll trade you a couple hours of consultation or a sentiment report if you do this for me, like edit my video or do something or whatever. And I've been doing it in my personal life too. I've got a couple of like stuff around the house done where I just kind of trade services, like, hey, you paint this room and I will build you a website.
Yeah, that's really nice.
I grew up in agriculture. It's the same, right? Like my parents preach that every chance we get to trade their services. Yeah, I love that.
It's awesome. And it makes you like, I don't know. It's kind of cool too, because it makes you feel like even more appreciative of whatever it is you received because you earned it.
Yeah. But that's community building.
Yeah,
right?
Mutual aid, community building, looking out for each other, all that stuff is so important. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what all that is.
That's what live service games are really about. You know what I mean?
Bartering your soul.
It would be great if that's what they really were, right?
I just want to trade skins, guys. That's all I want to do.
The CSGO community has entered the chat.
That's true. Yeah, right? Yeah.
Well, I'm not trying to force us to an early end, but is kind of we head towards the end of this discussion and move on. Is there anything we want to make sure and hit, or any comments anybody wants to make sure and get in, or anything we missed along the way?
Man, I feel like there's so much we could talk about, right? And there's so many angles you could approach this with. And I think that, obviously you want to end on a somewhat of a hopeful note, and I think we are, but it's hard because I think we are staring down the barrel of a huge AAA crash, right? And I think that obviously some people are going to be affected way more than others. And I'm talking companies here, not people. I'm talking in that.
Companies aren't people, Dave.
Yeah.
That is one of the problems that we're
Citizens United, or what was it? Anyway, but I think that the hope is that we come out of this with a better understanding of what consumers want, what people that are actually working in the industry need, and what they require. And then we could pare down a little bit, gang, because they call it a bubble bursting because it gets so fucking big. It's like everything is just inflated to the point where it's unsustainable, right? And I don't think that gamers even necessarily really want games that, no offense to Destiny or Destiny developers or fans.
I can't play it anymore. So.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't know that most gamers really want games that go on forever. There's a million games that all look so good out there, and I want to play them all, and I can't, but I'd love to play as many as I can, and so it's like smaller experiences, like more unique takes, stuff made with smaller teams, like that Sonic meme, I want shorter games with people that are paid more to do less. And I'm not kidding. I want that for the world. Right. And hopefully we can come out of this crash with a more renewed idea of what it is that we actually want out of this hobby that we all love so much. Right.
I do have two positive things to end with.
Please.
Yes. Yes to everything you just said, because you literally hit the nail on the head, 100%. All right. The positive is, one, it's going to end. All cycles have to end. So one way or the other, it will end. And if you have to leave the industry, just know it doesn't mean you have to leave it forever. Mm-hmm. Jobs are going to resurface back. It is going to take a couple of years of restoration for this to be fully fledged again. But it will happen. So just don't take it as a failure. It's not a failure. It's a job. And you need to do what you need to do to get that bag. And if that means bouncing to another industry, your skills are absolutely transferable. You can reach out to me. I am happy to help you. I used to work in HR. I used to work with people's resumes for a living. I'm happy to help you allocate those skills where they can. But that leads to the second point of here's a positive. And I'm not saying positive like we should only focus. We need to beat ass, just beat ass right now. But there is a positive that I'm seeing in myself, and I know I'm seeing it in other people too, is this is the age of disillusionment right now. Like for me personally, I was military. You were taught in the military, you are your job. You're never off the clock. So like breaking that pattern of identity association is really hard when I made it to the civilian world because I was medically retired. It was very quick. It wasn't something I was planning on. I was planning on retiring at 20 years. But there's a lot of us that also associate our identity with it because we love video games and we're like, we get to be a part of this. And all we do is talk about games. All we do is play games. So like it does become your identity. And when that happens, just like when you're young and you're dating for like the first time and that first person that you really, really like, you probably acted a damn fool half the time because you liked them too much and you were too invested and they were like, yo, space. Same thing. When you're overeager, too invested, you can't, like you said earlier, see the forest through the trees. You are so vulnerable to exploitation from bad colleagues, from bad business practices, and from bad leadership. This was the wake-up call that everybody collectively, myself included, needed. Because anytime I've left a job, even when it was my own like choice, like this isn't for me anymore, or I found a really cool opportunity, I always kind of saw it as a failure, which is silly. But I know I did everything right at Bungie. I was very well loved by the studio because I loved everybody at the studio with everything I had. I won 3 awards in my 2 years there, including Bungie's first ever accessibility award in 30 years. I was the first woman CM they've ever had in the 30 years of being a company. I did everything right, and I was damn good at my job, created new processes, and it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're still a number. And while that's a really bitter pill to swallow, it's also very freeing because so many of us kill ourselves. I went 3 years without a single day off. There are pictures of me working from hospitals and funerals. We kill ourselves because we think we have something to prove or because we love it and we have an unhealthy peripheral vision with outside of our job scope. But this disillusionment is so shocking. Just like butterflies. Nobody wants to talk about like you change from a caterpillar to a butterfly, but like let's talk about the change part of the butterfly. Like you're probably freaking the fuck out if you're a caterpillar. You're like, what the fuck is going on? And your like flesh is ripping on a molecular level. Can you imagine how painful that must be for your cells to break down to create an entirely new body within a very short, like it's painful and they're probably freaking the fuck out. It's a painful thing. But part of growth is destroying what no longer serves you so you can build yourself up for the next part of your life, your next evolution. And that's where we are now. It sucks. It hurts. You feel betrayed. You feel angry. You feel left behind. I get it. I am right there. My first month, I didn't move from bed for probably 3 weeks. I get it. But take this also for the destruction phase it is and know that you're going to go into your next job with a healthier sense of what you're worth, what you deserve, and what you will no longer be willing to tolerate. And I know this because I'm seeing it with friends getting hired. I'm working contracted. I've already seen myself in behaviors like, I'm sorry, that's outside of my scope. I would love to help you with that, but I would, need to move some of my responsibilities around to make room. I've never done that before, ever in my life. I'm just, yes, take everything, and I will go crazy. And I'm starting to notice that I'm putting healthy boundaries. I am negotiating my salary at what I know I deserve, and I'm setting a firm line. And while that might scare some people off, I'm seeing a lot of CEOs commend me for that. And I think that this is going to be such a cool learning experience for all of us collectively as a whole. And because of that, we need to know that those periods of growth are scary. And sometimes they feel isolating and they feel hard not to take on the chin. Like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? This is why we need to stop with the petty bullshit and be there for each other. We are humans first. We are game workers second. Be there for the human. Don't just quote tweet because you think you know what they're saying. If you see your friends saying something a little stupid, don't quote tweet them for the world to see. Why don't you try reaching out to them in private first? Because we're all going through something. We're all processing a lot of trauma. And when you're in an emotional space, you're not thinking logically. You're not thinking, your cognitive skills are declined. That is a fact. That is a science fact. So show some goddamn compassion. We're all going through shit. If they continue to be a shitbag, okay, then do whatever. But we're not even doing the bare minimum to be there for each other right now unless it can be showed on social media for engagement. Be there for each other. We're humans. We need each other right now. That's what life's about. Fuck everything else. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Part 2.
Oh, yeah. 2 TED Talks in one podcast. How special. Thank you for that.
And that was the last time she was ever invited on that podcast again.
Not at all.
This has been wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I think that was a great place for us to end. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to take another short break. And when we come back, we'll talk about the games that we've been playing recently. Bit of a weird week for me in terms of playing games. I haven't played a lot of games. I played a lot of Smash when I had time, but I'm going to talk about some interesting ones here. So first up, this is a big shout out to a friend of the show, Dylan Muss. Dylan and I have both been making our indie games kind of in tandem and talking throughout. Well, I got to finally test out Dylan's game, Potion Problem. I don't know how much Dylan wants me to talk about this openly. So like, I'm sure he doesn't mind that I'm mentioning it. I'm sure he's happy, but like, I don't know how like details of it I want to share, but like, it's like a potion making sim, which, you know, like on paper, I was like, that's not really my bag, but then I played it and like, it's got really great sound effects in there. And so like when you move the items around and chop them and stuff, it's very satisfying. So I can't wait for this game to continue, and he's working on it, and for us all to see and play Potion Problem down the line. And then I've started getting up early in the morning and working on my game, and my kid wakes up early and he sits back here and he has this game they play at school called GimKit. It's like an online educational web browser game, but you can make your own games within it. And so it's really hilarious. He's gotten really into it, and we're both here making games together, and it's super great.
That's cute as hell. What the hell?
And
just casually dropping the most wholesome thing on the podcast today, like it's nothing.
Yeah, we got this little palette here that he sits on behind me, and like he's gotten really obsessed, and like it is the right level for him, because he and I have like worked on Godot together, and that's too complicated for him, and like he's done some stuff and other things, but like it's kind of great because like he head rushes into things and he'd be like, this isn't working, and I'll be like, all right, and you can get on it together. So like I can just go to the web browser while I'm up here and be like, and bug fix his little games, and it's been fun. So that's what I've been doing in terms of games recently.
That is really, really awesome.
That so much.
I don't know that I could top that, so I'm just going to quickly go through mine.
Right.
I've been continuing to play Picayune Dreams. Man, that game is so great. It's $5. It's queer as hell. It's like, if you like Vampire Survivors, it's that, but like way cooler, in my opinion. I mean, I like Vampire Survivors too, but this is like a crazy psycho sci-fi aesthetic. I'm loving this so much. Every time I play it, I feel like it's blasting me in the face. Wonderful stuff. I love Picayune Dreams. A new update came out for friend of the show, Marcus from Seatro. His game Super Kiwi 64 got a whole brand new update to it.
What is it?
It's so, first of all, he added like time trials and like better tracking in the main game, right? So it kind of gives you an excuse to actually play through the whole game again and try to beat it really fast. So I love that. And then he also added this whole like doomsday side story to it. And in addition to that, there's now like cinematics and like voice acting and like all this stuff. He basically took Super Kiwi 64, which is already a great like throwback Banjo-Kazooie collectathon style game, and just like added a ton of stuff to it. And again, I think this game is like $5, or maybe $7, something like that. So fans of super cheap indie games are eating really good right now. I'm really enjoying that. I can't wait to play more of that. And then just a couple other games. My brother was in town. My brother, many people who've been listening to the podcast know, is the best Mario Kart player that I know.
God, he
so
is.
we played a lot of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and for some reason he like does not. He's like so hesitant to play on the DLC courses because he doesn't know them as well, and he's like, "You're gonna beat me if I do," and I
Can't wreck
did
my
beat him
rep.
on them. Yeah, exactly. And so I like basically forced him to play DLC courses the entire time that we were here, and he was getting so frustrated, and it was so funny. But I just want to give a shout out. I love you, Justin. It was great to hang with you this weekend. And then, lastly, I've been playing some more of Lonely Mountains Downhill, and it's officially moved from a game that I have been playing on Game Pass for multiple years to a game that I bought on Steam because I wanted it with me whenever I'm offline, whenever I want. So the Game Pass to actually purchasing games pipeline is real. I made it happen. I fucking love that game so much. I think it's one of my favorite games of all time. Anyway, Summer, what have you been playing?
Yeah, so with all of the hype around the new Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth game, I decided I need to continue playing the first one, which the only reason I stopped playing it is because it was the game I was playing when I was streaming, and then I stopped streaming, and I took like an accidental major hiatus from streaming, and I was like, "Fuck it, I need to keep playing this game," and I am super into it. The cast is fantastic. I think I'm about chapter 8 right now. I'm several tens of hours into it. I don't know how long this game is. I don't care. I'm just gonna keep playing it. I'm in for the ride. It's wild. I love the job costumes. Like I'm very into that. You know me. I'm already like, oh, I'll make this one. And so super into that. Haven't seen a lot of spoilers yet for Infinite Wealth. And
hopefully it stays that way.
Right. I think the community around it has been pretty good. Like at least everybody that I've talked to, you know, they're all very supportive of like wanting other people that are into the series being able to experience it for themselves. So that's really nice and wholesome to see. I'm going to talk about Fortnite again. I'm so sorry. But the reason is because I bought a battle pass for the first, I had to. I've never bought a battle pass before. I saw that Solid Snake was a skin.
Oh yeah. And his butt looks amazing.
Oh my God. I love watching his butt. I love watching his butt. And I love
I thought his butt was super flat. Did they embiggen it?
Oh, they learned.
So
they
he's
learned
brand
the
new.
lesson
He's
from
brand new in
Nintendo.
Fortnite, right? It was in Smash. It was in Smash that they nerfed his butt, right? Because his butt was great in Brawl, and then in
Yes.
Ultimate they nerfed
glorious.
it. In Fortnite, his butt is excellent.
How do you even stealth up on people? Because you just hear cheeks clapping.
Oh my gosh. Which is why they made the invisible camo like item that you can get. And like, but there's also the box. And I've got a great screenshot that I'll share in the Discord later of me getting a victory royale from within a box. So I've got like me in the box and the victory royale over the screen as Solid Snake. So it's just silly fun. And that's what I've accepted it as it's just so silly. It's so funny. I love making Solid Snake do all of these like fabulous fruity emote dances. It's so satisfying. He is baby girl to me. Then the game has been out for about a year now. It just had its 1 year anniversary, Fire Emblem Engage. So I booted that up again and started a maddening classic run. And I just I've never done a maddening run. I really haven't played classic since it's been an option to play casual. But I have another friend who's doing it, so I thought I'd maybe try doing it too. And because it's the game that's supposed to be like the most challenge, like interesting creative challenge of the franchise, I decided I wanted that. And it was, I think, about chapter 7 that I was like, do I want this?
I don't want this anymore.
I don't know if I want this anymore. I think I'm to chapter 10 now. So I know I'm getting close to another point, and I've been doing okay, but I know I'm getting to another point where I'm going to be like, do I still want this? But it's really been forcing me to really assess all of the abilities and character abilities and get to know them really like deeply and intimately. And I have, it's forcing me to do that. And I'm enjoying that. Because I had the 3DS out again. I've been playing, and just like with the talks about the Pretendo Network, I got out Pokemon Alpha Sapphire, just also because I'm so deep into this fandom again. Like I am so deep on Pixiv into fan art again, and
But are you reading fan fiction?
I write the fan fiction.
Yes! Yes!
I cosplay
Hell,
Wallace.
queen
Like
shit.
I am so deep. I am so
King
deep.
shit.
And I was like, you know what? I do want to get into this again. And there's just certain little mechanics that I'm like, yeah, we have open world Pokemon now, but I miss like the sneaking up and this different kind and like the search mechanic that they had with the dual screens back in that. And that was like my favorite era of metagame was Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. And like with the Pretendo Network, I'm kind of like ready to see if there is like a little niche community that's still doing that specific subset of like the Mega Evolution, like competitive battling. If you're listening to this, like I'm like ready to develop a competitive team like within the game. Like I don't want to do it in Smogon. Like I get that it's easy or whatever. I'm like I want my 3DS in my hands and doing this on a network. So I'm into that again. It's happening. All right.
The face of regret.
I know.
Yeah. I'm happy for you.
I know.
And I'm sorry.
Here I am on our gaming podcast talking about the games I like to play. Oh no, Liana, what have you been playing?
Infinitely less interesting than any of y'all's. Pretty boring. I've been playing just Call of Duty. Destiny was my comfort game, and I'm just not quite ready to be able to play that yet. So I've been playing Call of Duty, been playing a lot of Lethal Company, which is hilarious.
I'm having fun with Lethal Company. Yeah.
Dude, with a group of friends too, and just mod the crap out of it. Like I literally just run around as Borat. And it's amazing.
Okay, I haven't touched mods yet. That's you. Is it what? Is it all Steam Workshop stuff or is like?
Yeah, they're weird as shit. They are like there's some weird mods, but they are worth it. And it's just you're just playing a meme at this point, and it's amazing. And I scream. I'm very bad at it. I'm not good at it. I see a spider, I scream, and then I just let it kill me because I think that's the stop, drop, and roll doesn't apply to big spiders. Got it. And actually, one game that I really have been liking that I didn't think I was going to like. Have you guys played Sky Child of the Light or Children of the Light?
Oh, no. I haven't. Is that by the Journey devs?
Yeah. So like, I love Journey, obviously. Love Flower. They just have, the co-directors just have such a cool way of thinking. The art is unparalleled. But I didn't realize it was on PlayStation and Switch, and then it's in testing for PC and mobile. But I love it because it's an online game, but it doesn't feel like an online game. Like you can play it by yourself unless you're doing like puzzles and stuff. But it's such a wholesome setup. Like the art is beautiful. The audio, like y'all were talking about audio storytelling earlier. Holy shit. It's like,
wow.
It's like meditation in a game. And then when you do play with friends, it's really wholesome. You can hold each other's hands. Oh. And like the whole purpose is you just go to different spirits and you release them from being trapped. And like the whole message is you free and love with love and compassion and light and kindness.
Patrick is like, wait a second.
Yeah, you're speaking Patrick's language.
Yeah.
It's
I'm opening
so
my Switch
good.
right now. Yeah.
It's so good. And it's calming. You don't feel pressured to play. You don't feel pressured to play a certain way. The community is wonderful. Like they released a season and it was buggier than usual, and it was such a good reflection on the community that you never saw like threats or anything. You were like the worst I saw was one comment that was like, oh my god, I'm so fucking sick of this. I wish I could just play the game, but also I know everything that's going on right now, and I just hope the devs are okay and not crunching. And I'm like, holy shit, like what? I would have killed to see stuff like that at Bungie. And like, I don't know. It's just, it's a game that's meant to just be enjoyed. It's not trying to be anything. It's not trying to chase a trend. It's not trying to tell you it's the only thing. It's just is what it is. It's just a vision of what the team wanted to create. And then it is. You either like it or you don't, but you could tell like their heart is in it. It's so, can't recommend it enough. Such a good game.
Awesome.
Good game.
So I went ahead and looked it up on my Switch because you said it was on Switch, and I see it's a free download. So it is a free to play game?
Free to play game. There are microtransactions. I haven't felt pressure to use any, like it's really like cute like emotes and stuff.
Hell yeah.
There's stores, but you can earn.
Yeah.
like the hearts and the candles. And all
Yeah.
that
And
kind
I
of
don't
stuff.
mind spending money on stuff like that too,
Yeah.
if I enjoy something enough. So
We were talking about bartering. There's a whole subreddit where they're like, I'll trade you 5 candles if you give me 5 hearts. And I think it's the coolest thing ever.
wait a second. Is this going to fill like the Gaia Online hole in my heart, in my 2004 heart? Okay.
It's wholesome as hell. It's so cute. Definitely check it out. It's
I'm
very cute.
downloading it right now, y'all. So hit me up in Sky, Children of the Light. Oh, man.
Yes.
Yeah, this sounds amazing.
Well, then that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much, Liana, for coming in and talking to us. We really, really appreciate it. Thanks also to MilkyWay.co, who does our website. Thanks to Corduroy for doing our music. If you're looking for me, Patrick, you can find me online most places as PDYX.
You can find me at Weebwitched.
I'm pretty much everywhere on the internet at Monolith Fiji. Liana, where can people find you online?
Dirty effing hippie. Do with that what you will. Dive into the timeline at your own risk, and I am sorry in advance.
No, it's all good. Honestly, shoot Liana a follow. Definitely one of the top Twitter follows you could have
that's a lie,
on that
but thank
godforsaken website. So make sure you go do that. Support game devs and people who speak truth to power, because we need more of that in this godforsaken world. And if you'd like to find our show on social media, we are at Switch Headz on Twitter, at Super Switch Headz on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We got a TikTok now. We got TikToks coming out on the reg. We finally did it. After 5 years of doing the show, we're finally making little clip videos. So go follow us over there. I already got into a fight with one of our commenters. I got to lay off the app.
You're good. It's still engagement, right? Like we still gotta fire them up. I got on there too. I was just like, okay, private account, like get out of here. That's all you have to say.
Anyway, we're gonna try not to do that so much in the future. But also, we've got a Discord and a Facebook group. Please join us on the Discord. Our Discord community is like the most wonderful, non-toxic group of gamers you'll ever meet in your entire life. We love them so much. We would love to have you join us in the ranks on that as well. We'll have a link to both of those in the description of this video if you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening on Spotify or Apple. Thank you to all of our listeners. That's going to do it, everybody. We're going to be back next week. I might be wrong, but I think next week is our 5-year anniversary show. Is that right?
I totally meant to say we should ask publicly. We're doing a big 5-year anniversary show. If you have any comments or questions, please share them with us. We should have put that at the top.
Yeah, I think next week probably. I'm not going to edit that in though because I don't feel like it. But
we can also just put it out there in other ways.
Just a title screen at the front of the video. Just like, we're too lazy to edit this. Read the text. All right, we're good.
But no, next week is going to be a big love fest probably. It's going to be all about us because you know what? We've been doing this for 5 years. We deserve it. But I can't wait for you guys to hear that episode. That's going to be a great one. And then, of course, Liana, once again, thank you so much. This was such a fantastic episode. You're welcome back whenever you want to come back on the show. But until then, gang, you guys know the drill. Stay safe out there. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to one another. Maybe now is a good time to learn Godot. But other than that, folks, we love you very much. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.